Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Q&A Tuesday. Thanks so much for submitting your questions this week. Let's get right down to it. Marianne on Facebook asks, I live in Monroe Township and we do not have any hydrangeas blooming in our area, only mop heads. Can you tell me why? Well, Marianne, I'm sure it's not the mop heads that are blooming, it's the paniculatas, which have the big kind of cone-shaped flowers. Limelight's a type of paniculata. Those form their flower buds in this late spring, early summer. So that's why those are flowering. The mop heads, like the big blue ones and the big white ones, those probably aren't flowering this year because we had that really, really cold frost, especially up in Monroe Township, right around the middle of April. So they lost all their flower buds, and you might get a couple spotty flowers now. But next year they should be okay. It all depends on the weather, how cold it gets. Thanks for the question, Marianne. Patricia says, Steve, thanks for all the great tips you have given us. I have a wall in my yard and it's lined with vinca flowers for the border. They are getting very leggy due to all the rain. Can I trim them down and will they be okay? Last year they lasted until October. Well, Patricia, it's getting a little bit late to trim the vinca. Our days are getting shorter. What I would do is I would cut way back on the watering, have no irrigation on them, just let them do their thing, and cut back on the fertilizer on them too. They might not be getting enough sun, so you want to make sure if there's any tree branches or limbs that are shading it to cut them away so they get full sun. And they should be fine and flower well into October. It all depends though, if we get an early season frost, flowering vinca is the first one to go. If you do want to cut it back next year though, I recommend cutting things back right around mid-July. That gives them enough time to push new growth out. Deborah asks, I had to plant a clematis in a container. It grew beautifully over my arbor. My question is, how do I care for this container over the winter? Do I leave it in place and protect it with leaves and mulch, or should I bring it indoors to my unheated garage? Thank you. Well, Deborah, overwintering anything container in New Jersey is always a challenge. If you lived in Minnesota, the plants freeze in the container in the middle of November and they do not defrost until April. The problem with New Jersey is we have a lot of freezing and thawing cycles. We'll get really cold temperatures, then warm temperatures. That's what destroys plants in containers. So what you can do is you can try to leave it in its spot, put some mulch around it once the soil has frozen mid-November. This way it'll keep the cold in there and keep it from defrosting and freezing again. It helps keep those temperatures moderate. But it is very difficult to keep anything alive in a container throughout the winter. So Christine asks, are there any tips for keeping the squirrels from eating the figs off the tree? Well, Christine, I don't have all the answers. And this one I'm not exactly sure. We've been in a drought. Squirrels are hungry. They're going to find something green to eat. So, any other gardeners out there get any tips for Christine? Please share them on our Facebook below, because I'm at a bit of a loss. Thank you guys so much for your questions today. I really appreciate them. Just so you know, I'm taking the next 2 weeks off, going on vacation with my family, and then getting kids back to school. So we're going to pick these Q&A questions up right around the middle of September. So keep posting them down there, and have a great end of the summer.